You're watching The HoneyDew with Ryan Sickler.
Welcome back to The HoneyDew with y'all. We're over here at the HoneyDew Studios, highlighting your lowlights. Today, my guest is Jess Danner, everybody. Welcome, Jess Danner. How you doing, Jess?
Hi, I'm great.
It's nice to meet you. I'm very excited as well. First of all, tell everybody where you're from. Where are you right now on lockdown?
So I'm from central Pennsylvania. Just recently moved to Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And yeah, just bought a house in January, chilling in my house. And you said nothing.
We were talking before we were recording. You said you're still working. What do you do for a living?
So I work for an insurance company. I do outreach to Medicare members for appointments and doctors and stuff like that.
Very nice.
Just kind of like insurance calls.
Well, as you know, I've reached out to everybody out there to hear about their lowlights, and you hit me with a laundry list of shit that started early and often. So why don't I let you tell everybody your story, please?
All right. So when I was 12, I was in middle school, I guess. Yeah, middle school. I was walking home from school and I had a really bad pain in my back. And I was like, it's got to be like kidney stones or something. Went to the emergency room, thought it was kidney stones. Turns out I had what's called uterine didelphus. It's 2 uteruses.
2 uteruses.
Yep.
Okay, so already I have questions. All right. So is that uterus something that was, undiagnosed all this time, or did it grow inside you over a course of time where it's like, holy shit, you grew a second uterus? Like, how did it go missed?
So what it was is the in gestation, when I was being formed in my mom's uterus, it was cell splittage. So the cells that form your uterus, cervix, and all that are similar to the ones that build your urinary tract. So instead of another kidney, those cells formed into a uterus. So
I see.
1 kidney, 2 uteruses. Well, the uteruses are gone, but
and you said
that's how it was.
Having 1 kidney is rare.
Well, that part isn't so much rare as the
swapping it for a second uterus is pretty rare.
So with the solitary kidney is very common with uterine didelphus, or actually any. I don't know if you've ever heard of like bicoordinate uterus. Some women have like a wall.
I've heard of nothing you've had. Yeah, none of the stuff. I mean, I think IBS. I've heard that.
You know what that is?
Yeah, I got that one.
So there could be a lot of malformations of the uterus and any reproductive organ, really. But this uterine didelphus one is a little rare. And mine was especially rare because the septum that goes the whole way down through the uteruses, I had 2 cervixes as well, if you know what that is.
Hold on. Yeah, I do. Okay. I'm sorry to stop you, but I have to tell you this.
You're good.
I do, because Segura and I talked about this. My friend Shannon went out with a girl one night, and they went back. They dated for a while. When they were starting to get a little hot and heavy, he went to go down her pants, and she grabbed him, and she said, "I'm different." And he freaked out, like, different, like how? Like, are you a guy, or what is different? Like, what's going on? And she had a deviated septum, but in her vagina, she had 2. Yes. I know I'm not a doctor. I just want to say this, but like 2 canals, 2, and it sounds like this is what you're describing.
Yes. So most women with that, and she might have had uterine didelphus, or she just could have had a bicoordinate uterus that the septum came the whole way down.
I think she had the tridelphus. I think she had 3 uteruses.
That would be a bitch.
I bet it would.
No, but what was really rare about mine is that septum, instead of coming the whole way down, it grew to the side of my vaginal wall and blocked off my left uterus and cervix.
And all this time, you're a child. You're 12, you're 13. I imagine you're probably, if you haven't already, like, we're just going to be real here. Like, have you had your period at this point yet?
I had gotten my period when I was 12, so the summer before going back to school, and I had maybe 3 cycles, 3 months.
And is it like
this started happening.
Is everything excruciatingly painful? You said you had the pain in your back. So like, is that the beginning of the pain and it just stays? It never like lightens up. It never eases up during this part of it?
So yeah, especially with the back pain, and like I had cramps and stuff with my first period. I just thought it was, you can get cramps with your period. But I was also like really bloated, and like my belly was really distended, sometimes looking pregnant, which sucks. But I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, what'd you say?
I was asking you about just, well, also like, even as a parent, like your mom, I'm guessing maybe didn't go through this, and it's like how helpless you can feel trying to help your child go through all this and figure it out. So you're told you have all of this going on, right? And then what happens? Do you have to go for a surgery, a procedure? Like, what do you do for something like that?
So when we went to the emergency room for the kidney stones, they were like, there's a large mass in your pelvis. And my mom's like a tumor?
Right.
Like
anytime
cancer?
you hear mass.
Like, what do you mean?
Sure.
A mass. Yeah. And they're like, we need to do some more testing. So I came back to the hospital and they did an MRI that was like, I think it was like 3-4 hours long. And that was torture.
You're in that fucking tunnel that long? No.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
They kept saying, okay, we're going to look at the pic. Just hold on 1 minute. Okay, we just have to take a few more. Because like they never saw it. That's how rare it is and unknown, at least, especially back then, how unknown it was because, it was like 0.08 of a million or something my doctor said. It was really outrageous numbers.
Damn.
How rare my situation was because the septum had blocked the left side and I was getting my period and it wasn't going anywhere. So I just had blood sitting in my pelvis.
Backing up in your body.
And that's what the pressure and the pain and so after that, they recommended I go to CHOP, which is Children's Hospital of Philadelphia or Pennsylvania.
That's a hell of an acronym for going to get something taken out of you when you're a kid.
Yeah.
CHOP. Set her down to CHOP. Like, what? Where are we going?
I'm going to get surgery at CHOP.
She's got 3 uteruses and 6 pussies. Send her down to CHOP. Like, what are we talking about right?
Yes. So.
And you're a kid. Do you remember, are you scared or are you a kid? Are you freaking out or are you just like, oh no, are you thinking of, you at that age, are you even thinking about death or anything like that?
Oh yeah, especially when they were like not sure what the mass was. Like I was like, I have cancer. Like this is it. I'm gonna die. Especially if it's in my lady bits. You know what I mean? Like those usually, from what I knew back then, take care of you. But I was mostly just following my mom's lead, and my mom. I'm so close with her still. She's sometimes go to doctor's appointments with me still.
That's nice.
But I wouldn't be here without her. I would be dead or I would have offed myself because she did not stop trying to find the best doctors, the best surgeons. And actually, she found his name is Dr. Mama.
Is it really?
Yeah, at CHOP. I think he's in like New Jersey or something now, but he was the one that did my first surgery, and they did what's called like vaginoplasty, where they completely like reconstructed to make things flow so I could have periods and hopefully have children. They got rid of the septum, and my cervixes, which was also another rare thing, there's usually like a little space between them, but mine were like this. like overlapping. So I had some issues with that, but yeah, Dr. Mama. I mean,
I'm sorry, I can't even. I can't even.
It's so silly.
Dr. Mama down at CHOP.
He was like an Indian dude, which they're the best surgeons, I swear to God. But he fixed my vagina to make it as normal as possible. But then he said that I had endometriosis, and he said, it's all over your bowel, which I cannot touch. So you need to go to another surgeon.
Oh, so you're coming out of this thing hoping you're good to go, and now it's
done.
And now you have more to go.
Yeah.
But he has basically reconstructed your, as you say, your lady parts internally as well, so that everything can function properly, or as it should, as it's meant to go.
Yeah, his goal was to preserve my fertility as much as possible if I wanted to have children in the future, and to just allow me to have a normal sex life sometime in my life, you know what I mean? And he did an incredible job. It's funny because when I go to a new gynecologist and I tell them everything that's going on, and then they take a look, I've had doctors say like, wow, it's beautiful. He did, absolute great work. I like tell you everything's beautiful. I'm like, I have a beautiful vagina. Thank you.
Mamma mia.
It's handcrafted, but
handcrafted, yeah.
But yeah, Dr. Mama was like the beginning of the saving my life for sure. She did great work.
And are you at this age now, you're going to get another surgery coming up, and are you playing sports? Are you active, or is your whole life in and out of hospitals and everything else?
That's another thing with this. Was growing up was a brutal, trying to stay in school, because like back in, my surgeries were in 05 and 06, and they didn't have cyber school like that. They didn't have homeschooling. My mom still had to work to pay my medical bills. And my stepdad worked. So it was like no one could stay home and homeschool me. They told me I had the solitary kidney. They said no contact sports whatsoever. We can't play soccer, just in case. Obviously you can't play like field hockey. Like I couldn't do anything. I grew up dancing. So I kind of stuck with that. I was trying to still go to classes at my aunt's dance school. But eventually I had to quit because with the first two surgeries, it really wiped me out and I had like no energy. Endometriosis is so draining. So I wasn't doing too much, and I was missing school. I was doing like partial homebound schooling where I would do like half days, and then a teacher would come to my house. So it was very isolating. So
you're used to this quarantine shit.
Right?
But you also probably need to be. You're compromised. Okay, so you're endometriosis here, and you're now going to where to get the endometriosis surgery? Is that what it is?
Yeah, endometriosis surgery. It's actually the best surgery treatment is excision, because they can either burn it or cut it. Excising it is cutting it, which is the best way to remove it. And Dr. Mama was like, you have to go to this excision specialist in Atlanta, Georgia. He's the best of the best. And at the time he was. At
the time, what do you mean? Is there somebody else that came up in the ranks over the time?
Oh man, now there's specialists all up and down the East Coast.
Is this a lot more common now?
In Cali.
Really?
Oh yeah. Like the thing with endometriosis is a lot of women have it and don't even know. They're just like, oh, I have bad periods. Like that's just being a woman. And it's not normal to be completely wiped out and not be able to go to your job or your kid's soccer game, or, you know what I mean? Just because you have your period. So they're finding that it's a lot more common than they thought it was. And They say 1 in 10.
Wow. So
Yeah.
now you go to Atlanta to this specialist, and what happens there?
So Dr. Albee, he, this one I don't remember too much. I think because I was on pain meds. And when I say pain meds, I mean extended release morphine sulfate pills. I was like in a daze,
Yeah,
you know, especially at 13, 14 years old. But that's how bad my situation was, you know. So I don't really remember too much myself of that surgery, but I do know that he told me, my mom has a tape, actually. It's kind of cool to listen to, where he sat down with my family after the surgery and told them everything that he found, what he did. And his biggest thing was preserving fertility. Like, we're going to make sure that she can have children if she chooses to.
That's awesome. I mean, it's really awesome that someone's like, look, you know, we're going to try to preserve that, instead of just saying, look, fuck it, that's not going to happen for you, but we're going to make sure you're healthy.
Yeah.
And do you know at this point if you can have kids?
Well, I had a hysterectomy. Yeah. But it was kind of like, I mean, I just got to the point where I was so sick that I didn't care. So
yeah, I'll bet.
Now I deal with a lot, you know, like, well, I should have at least tried. But I was told, Dr. Albee said, if I got pregnant in my left uterus, that I would most likely miscarry. And he was saying, like, women with this condition can have up to 6 or 7 miscarriages before they carry full term. And I was like, that's a no for me.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely not. I knew I couldn't survive that. So I kind of, from about age 17, when things just like kept going, I was like, it's not happening for me. It's not for me.
So take me back to 15, where you say you had more things that were discovered or you know, just kept going for you.
I know. It just kept
who the fuck was your primary care physician? Every year there's some new shit. Who was that person? I've blown through a lot because they get exhausted, and they're like, I've had a few finally just throw their hands up and like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. I don't know what to do. But yeah, I started having back pain, like in my sternum, and like nerve pain down my legs, and then my legs just started. Go. Another motherfucking uterus is growing.
Yep. I'm like, this is it. There's more. But I honestly think now, looking back, there might have been some endometriosis wrapped around my nerves. I still think I have that, because if you don't remove it, it doesn't go away. There's no treatment to dissolve it, or, you know, there's no special. I mean, you can do diets and stuff for anti-inflammatory to stop it from growing, but you can't just make it disappear like a tumor, you know? So yeah, my legs, I would get out of the shower, my legs would be bright purple and numb. And my mom's like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on with you? So we go to a cardiologist, find out I have a duplicated inferior vena cava, IVC.
Why do you have double of everything?
Right? Everyone's like, you were supposed to be a twin, right? Because like I have some extra floating ribs.
That's interesting. Do you really?
I'm double jointed in some spots. Yeah, it's weird, but it's all cell splittage when you're in, you know, the gestational period of that time. And a lot of these issues all go hand in hand, all at the same time.
So now what is the solution to help you through this new wave of shit? And by the way, are you your mom's only child?
Oh, no. I have 2 sisters, a younger brother, and a stepsister too, which I'm so close with her. She's like, that ain't even a thing. Stepsister. She's my sister. But I'm really close to my siblings. They've always been very helpful and supportive.
And has anyone else in the family had anything like this, or just you?
Unfortunately, well, like my grandmother and my mother both had problems with their uterus with adenomyosis, which is basically endometriosis grows into the tissue of your uterus. It's very painful. But the only way to diagnose it is through hysterectomy. So it's very unfortunate for women that have that. I thankfully didn't have that. I probably wouldn't notice a difference because I was in so much pain. But two of my blood sisters, they both have endometriosis and have had surgeries. And my oldest sister actually had a 7-year battle with infertility because of endometriosis and PCO, polycystic ovaries, and all that fun stuff.
So tell me what you were diagnosed with at age 16. I mean, we're just going year by year here. This is nuts.
So when I was 17, see, like it's kind of a blur sometimes because I've seen so many specialists and when I was diagnosed with what, but that was when I started having like skin rashes and I was having joint pain and I was having blood work that was like off the charts, irregular. So then I was sent to an autoimmune doctor, which is a rheumatologist. And my sister at the time was just diagnosed with systemic lupus. And it was the same doctor that I went to.
What is
and
that?
She's like, so lupus is an autoimmune disease. And it is when basically your immune system attacks healthy tissue. Like when you get sick or you have a bacteria in your body, your immune system amps up and goes after it to get rid of it. With this, though, your immune system gets like confused and starts to attack your joints. It can attack your skin. Like there's different kinds of lupus. There's discoid, which is skin. There's a blood lupus, and I think there's like 4 different kinds. But of course, systemic lupus it attacks everything pretty much. Your organs, your skin, your blood, your joints.
And now you have this as well? You find out at 16
yes.
You also have it.
Well, as of late, my rheumatologist now is wondering if it's more of like a mixed connective tissue disease, or they say undifferentiated connective tissue disease, because there's something causing your immune system to attack your tissues and your joints and your connective tissue, and like organs. And he doesn't like to put that label on it because with lupus, a lot of times it can cause serious issues with the kidneys. And I have had problems with my kidney, but not like what's called lupus nephritis, which is where your lupus literally attacks your kidneys and puts you into kidney failure.
You only have one.
Yeah.
That's the only thing you didn't get double of, the damn kidney.
Right?
The shit you needed.
Right.
You can take this other uterus and this other vagina and I'll trade it in for a kidney, goddammit.
Right. Yeah, just swap it out.
Okay, so now at 17, well, you said that already. We did lupus, but there's more. There's fibromyalgia.
Oh yeah, the stomach
too.
Fibromyalgia, and then the stomach issues like IBS. I mean, I was just a mess. Like I just had so many symptoms that we didn't know which doctor to report it to.
And and how many days are you missing of school? Are they being supportive through this? Like, are you failing? What's happening?
So like 7th grade was when I first got sick. 8th grade was when I had my first surgery. They were great in middle school. High school, not so much. Like they're like, we're prepping you for life. You gotta make sure you get your credits and all that bullshit. But my mom had to fight them a lot, especially with things like, how like teachers will tell you can't go to the bathroom. I had a field day with that.
I mean,
I'd be like, I need to go to the bathroom, and my male teacher would be like, you got to wait until we're done with this worksheet, dude. And I'd stand up and be like, sir, I need to change my tampon. I have 2 uteruses. I am bleeding like a cut up
I'd be like, take your
animal.
time.
Like,
take your time.
Yeah. Like, I embarrassed a lot of men in high school, but including punk asses. I mean, they used to call me DP, double pussy.
See, I'm thinking double penetration because you have to, but it's double pussy.
I'm like, that's not even like what it is, right, bro. Exactly. Like, get educated, you know.
Of course it's not.
But my sophomore and junior, I know, dude. And that's the thing. Like, people are like, I can't believe like you joke about it like that. And I'm like, if I didn't, like, I would not survive it.
No
like,
way.
I have to laugh. But yeah, this is a good one. I did half days part of my sophomore year and junior year, and because my parents worked, no one could take me home halfway through the day, so I got to ride the short bus home. Just me on the short bus
by yourself. There's nobody else on it.
Nope, right in front of my house.
It just gets worse and worse for you.
My family will never let me live that down.
I don't blame them. I would too.
I get a random, hey Jess, what flavor was your window today? Like, just off the wall shit still 10 years later. But that's what you gotta do. You gotta like power through it. And a lot of kids that were assholes to me, I just, told him to fuck off, made a joke about it, and on to the next one.
Well,
just gotta plow through it.
I mean, so far you are plowing through this shit, and now at 18, what happens?
Yeah, so this has actually evolved since I sent that submission. So, of course, like, I've had a talk therapist, same one since I was 13. She's amazing. She's actually like the family therapist.
Okay, good. That's what I was going to ask you. If you if you had to go on to talk to somebody, I hope so.
Absolutely. That was one of the first things my mom did. Because my sister suffered from depression and stuff like that. So she saw this therapist. She's like, okay, you need to get into this lady. Still seeing her to this day. But yeah, I mean, clearly I'm going to be depressed, from all that and isolated. I mean, I was missing everything with school. And when I got out of school, all my friends went to college. Some just got into heroin, which I wasn't going to do that either. So I was just like,
well, good though, because you could have slipped into it. You'd already been taking painkillers and everything else. You could have just gone the other way and been a junkie and died.
I honestly don't. I think being sick was the only thing that stopped me from trying it.
Wow.
To be completely honest. I mean, my whole tight-knit group of friends got into it at one point or another. I have a best friend, my best friend Liz, that I grew up with, that was like my rock through all my health stuff. She overdosed, passed away in 2018, I think it was. 2017. I have a little memorabilia for her. But I've lost probably a dozen friends to heroin, fentanyl, pills.
Yeah, I know that fentanyl shit's no joke right now.
Dude, and that's what happened with Liz.
Yeah, I watch and I'm from Baltimore. I watch all that shit, and they're talking about these guys are cutting it and throwing it right in the pills, and I'm watching the fucking agents touching it.
Bad,
Maryland's
bro.
awful, yeah. And they're touching it and overdosing the agents. That's how strong this shit is. And then they're cutting it into it's 1,000 times stronger than heroin. Yeah, it's dead. It's literally deadly.
It can go through your skin.
Yes, through your skin.
And it's funny because not really funny, but one of my surgeries, I woke up from. They told me they gave me fentanyl, and with the nerve block, and I was pissed because I was like, I have like friends that have died from this. I don't want this in my system. I don't want to touch this. I don't even if it's from the doctor, I don't want this, because I've just lost so many friends to it. But it's wild, man. Pennsylvania, Ohio. But yeah, so I was on Vicodin and Percocets in high school, and my friends are starting to smoke weed and pop pills, and I'm like, why do you do that for fun? Because my mom has to fight me to take my morphine, you know what I mean? Because I hated the way it made me feel. It made me so sick, and every time I got off of them, I withdrawed like a motherfucker, so I'm like, why would you want to put yourself through that? I just never understood it. And I really do think that's the only reason why I'm not like them.
Yeah.
Just because I was sick and scared.
So can I ask you some personal questions now?
Absolutely. Whoa, I thought we were personal.
I mean, I'm going to ask you about dating and stuff and
oh, absolutely.
What sort of anxiety you have and how old are you when you really first starting to date? What age are you comfortable to finally get out there and
experiment and stuff?
Yeah.
So around age 15 was about when all my friends started. I definitely was one of the last. It was 16 when I finally did, I believe. I don't know. My mom's probably going to watch this, so let's not talk about the actual age. You lost your virginity at 16? Yeah.
You did?
It might have been 15.
During all that?
15.
During all those surgeries and...
Yeah, because... So after my surgery in Atlanta, they told me that I need to suppress my period. That would be the best option for the endometriosis so it doesn't grow back or continue to spread. So I was on all kinds of different birth controls. And then I was finally put on a drug. It was called the Depo shot. And it's still used today. Not as much, I don't think, but it's used for regular birth control. And
that's the one for lasts for a few months or something like that.
3 months usually.
3 months.
Yeah, but I was getting them once a month because I had.
Because you had two vaginas.
I have double everything. Yeah. I have double hormones. I was even told once that I have double sex glands, which I believe it. So, but it really helped. The vaginal pain, I still had cramps and bloating and stuff like that, but I didn't have that pressure and vaginal pain like I used to. So, all my friends were getting into it. So I was like, I think it's time to finally figure out, if I am going to have a normal sex life. And the first time, completely normal, no pain whatsoever. Now I don't know if that's because I was on the Depo shot, because that was not the story for the rest of my sexual life. I mean, when I was I think I was a senior, I usually had, in the beginning I was a little promiscuous because I was found out that I could use my vagina like a regular woman. So I was like, hey, wants a shot at DP, but I usually was in long-term relationships. I was locked down and comfortable with who I was sleeping with. So when things did get painful, I could be open and honest, and some were okay with it. Some, my boyfriend now, he's a saint. He's the most understanding man I've ever met. Some weren't very good about it, and or the infertility thing. Towards the end of high school, when I was getting more serious with boyfriends, I was I don't really know if I'm going to be able to have my own kids. And for one, it was a big deal. He's like, that's it. But I need to be able to have my own children. And that's in the end, that's why we split. I mean, he was also cheating on me all the time, so it was really a blessing in disguise for me. But it really mattered to some. But yeah.
And where are you now?
So now
You're how old are you? I got to ask you, 27?
27.
So this is, I mean, you're young still, obviously. So you've been, half your life has been going through this shit.
Yep.
Damn. So how is your life now? Like, what's going on with old DP now?
So that's great. So yeah, I met my boyfriend Josh in 2011, and
You've been
we've been together since. Yeah, I mean, we've had
9 years or 27. So what? Fucking 19.
Yep, I was 19 years old.
Yeah.
He's 5 years older than me. He graduated with my sister, so like I knew his family already. I was friends with his sister, and his mom worked with the school, so like I already knew his family. I didn't really know him, but then when we started hanging out, it was just like perfect because his family already knew about most of my issues, and I knew I wouldn't have to have those awkward conversations of like, when are you having kids and stuff like that. So that was awesome. But I mean, I've put him through hell. Like, I mean, this man, I don't understand. He must really love the DP because I don't know how he's sticking around. I mean, now we're great now. Absolutely great. We just bought a house in January together. Finally, we're living at my mom's, and it was starting to get, affect our relationship too, and my moods, and so just having our own space and our own garden and
make sure that radish doesn't have 2 uteruses, girl.
It's funny because the one I pulled out earlier had 2.
So I want to ask you,
great.
Like I said, it's only been what 10, 13, half your life. Do you still periodically, like monthly, have to go get checkups?
I'm still figuring it out. Right now, I work a lot with my rheumatologist. He's my biggest helper, I guess you could say. And I see 2 gynecologists, 2 different ones. One for pelvic floor. Well, I have pelvic floor dysfunction, so I have spasms and stuff like that. So she prescribes me Valium, and we talk about like pelvic floor therapy and shit like that. The other one is the surgeon that did my endometriosis surgery last. I've had like 4 different surgeons with these surgeries. Been around the block with those, but I keep up. I just wrote this down actually earlier.
Do you know how many surgeries you've had? How many times you've actually been out for surgery, put under?
Oh, put under?
Do you know?
That's a whole nother story, homeboy. Being cut open is 7.
And you've been awake for some of those, or twilight for some of those?
All those I was out.
Okay.
Totally out. I've had, because of my interstitial cystitis in my bladder, I've had what's called hydrodistension, where they knock you out cold and fill your bladder up and stretch it. Because a lot of times with IC, they do it as a diagnostic tool as well, because they blow it up and then they see if you have the little tears in your bladder wall. So, and they also can stretch it, and it helps, with IC, you go to you pee constantly. Like some go like 30, 40 times a day because their urgency is so bad. So your bladder is trained, it gets smaller and smaller. But I've had probably 6 of those over the years. God. I've had 3 colonoscopies. Those are the only ones that really they put me under. But I've been through a lot of
procedures,
traumatic awake procedures.
Fuck. What's the most traumatic awake procedure? What do you remember hearing, feeling?
I would have to say, for me at least, remember earlier we talked about the cervixes, how they were like this?
Mm-hmm.
So I had an abnormal pap smear come back. So when you have that, what they do is called a colposcopy. Colposcopy, I think that's what it is. Yeah. So it's a scope basically to just look really closely at your cervix cells. And they like put this like vinegar substance on your cervix to light it up the cells, and it'll show them where the abnormal cells are, and they'll biopsy those spots. Well, the left, because that's the side that was pushed with the septum, it was like digging for gold to try and find the cervix, the whole other side of it, because it was like tucked up behind. So they would have to like get in there, and they're like, "I'm so sorry," and I'm like,
and just
you have no idea what you're doing,
that shit
bitch.
Open.
Yeah.
Oh,
like to pull it out
God
to
forbid.
Get access to it So that I sweat. I've never sweat so bad. Oh my God. I have never sweat so bad on a table. And then they take a little snip of your tissue to biopsy it. And if it comes back, I had precancerous cells. That was another thing that pushed me into the hysterectomy, is I had precancerous cells. They don't know if I probably had HPV at some point, because you can test positive or not test positive for it and still have had it at some point in your life. It's just your body rid of the virus, which is weird because you would think with my immune system it wouldn't, but maybe that's why I had the cancer cells. So that pushed me into getting the hysterectomy as well, was those cells. But that was definitely probably one of the worst I was awake for.
Man, you're strong as shit, girl.
I try, man. I don't have a choice. Like, it's like, what are you going to do? Are you going to go to the doctor, do the tests, take care of yourself? Or are you going to stay home, ignore what you need to do, not take your meds, and die possibly? Like, it's just a part of the survival. And like now, I'm very fortunate to have a job where I can work from home, not just because of the coronavirus, but I went home like a week before the shutdown happened. So like I've been looking for something like this since high school, and, like
you're ready.
I'm like, yeah, I've been wanting to work from home for so long because there's just some days I don't want to fake it. Like and this is the thing, this is the problem with it. You put makeup on, you smile, you joke, you laugh, you look good, and then people are like, but you have all these problems, like you don't look sick. Well, that's not going to show on the outside of my body.
Yeah, tell my two pussies that.
Yeah, you fucking want a hand coming out of my forehead? Like, I don't understand what you think this is. But since it happened so young and it's been going on for so long, I've just learned to you got to be cheerful and push through it, or it's going to, like, why be miserable if you can be as positive as possible and as happy as possible? So I just try to keep that, motivation going. But some days I'm like, fuck this.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on here today with me and being my first female guest. I got to say that.
That's
too.
right.
Thank you.
Jean.
Yep, Jean. And thank you, Jess, for real. I really appreciate you coming on. You're great. Thank you for opening up and sharing your story with all of us.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me. I really have been wanting to do this for years, just to put out there that people like me, like, you're not alone, dude. And having a painful vagina is not normal. And you need to go to the doctor and take care of it.
Take care of it.
But yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you guys too. Make sure you tune in every week. And if you know somebody you think would be good, or if you think you'd be good, send in your story to honeydewpodcast@gmail.com. We'll get to them and hopefully we'll get you on. Talk to you all next week.